Welcome to this video session on Gagne's 9 levels of learning, training your team effectively. And my name is Mrunal Lamge. Have you ever trained someone on a new process or a skill? It seems to be simpler. I'm sure while you are actually delivering the training, you might have found that to be much harder than what you have thought. That is pretty common, I would say. When you're training, it's important to understand that everyone has a different learning style. So how do you present information so that the trainee or the group of trainees is learning effectively? What is the way of giving a feedback? What is the right time of demonstration of a skill? There could be various questions like those that you need to answer. Gagne's 9 levels of learning provide a step-by-step approach that can help managers, trainers, and facilitators structure their training so that the students or teams get the most from the learning opportunities. So how to apply this tool when training your team? That's what we are going to look at, such that you can do your training to your teams much more effectively, much more confidently, and much more to the effect that you wish to create. A background to the model: Robert Gagne. He was born in 1916 and he was there on this planet till 2002. He was an educational psychologist who pioneered the science of instruction in the 1940s. His book, The Conditions of Learning, first published in 1965, identified the mental conditions that are necessary for effective learning. So what he did, Gagne created a 9-step process that detailed each element required for effective learning. The model is useful for all types of learning, whether the learning be it at the work environment, or whether that learning is in a classroom environment, or whether the learning is outbound. In all of its ways and forms, this particular model is useful. So benefits of Gagnes model. Gagnes 9 levels of learning model gives trainers and educators a checklist to use before they engage in teaching or training activities. So it becomes one of the very powerful planning tool. Continuing with the benefits, each step highlights a form of communication that aids the learning process. When each step is completed in turn, learners are much more likely to be engaged and to retain the information or skills that they are being taught. If you use this approach before any type of training session or presentation, you will remember how to structure your session so that your people get the best possible learning experience. Now, using the tool, and what are the steps? Let's try to look at understanding the 9 levels with certain examples that would clarify to you how to use it and how can you apply that. So, are you ready? Let's begin. The level 1 of Gagne's learning is gaining attention, or the reception, you can say. As per Gagne, start the learning experience by gaining the attention of your audience, which is absolutely a must. This change in stimulus alerts the group that learning will soon take place. How are you going to apply that? You can gain attention by various means, and some of the examples are raising the volume of your voice, gesturing, using hand movements, showing a short video on the topic of instruction, or using any other event or means that brings the period of waiting for the lesson to start come to an end. Some of the trainers also use some of the games or some of the energizers to gain the attention when they actually walk in a particular training room for a workshop. Some of them also use some light soft music to gain their attention. Some of them start their presentations or their training workshops by giving an example. Some of them can start by narrating a short story or an incident that is related to the topic of the training. So there are various ways that you can gain their attention of the audience. Level 2, informing learners of the objective, that is the expectancy. It's a very important step. Ensure what they need to learn and that they understand why they are about to learn this new information. In short, in the sales terminology, it is WIIFM, one of the most important FM channel, as they say, which stands for what's in it for me. So this is the stage where you inform the learners of the objectives, or what in it for me, what's in it for me. How do you apply that? Explain to your team what they will have learned by the end of the session. Then explain how their learning is going to benefit them and the organization. So for you, the objective of one of today's video session is to gain an understanding what is the process or the planning to structure your content. How you can structure the content so that it is much more effective than you would have otherwise put together content in your own way. Because it is scientific in nature, you will find your trainings are much more effective in terms of the engagement of the audience, in terms of the retention of the information what you wish to share with them, and in terms of the final learning objectives of the training sessions are met. Example, when you are about to share with them the objective, you can say the new process that they are going to learn about in the training session will save the organization 20% in overhead fees, which in turn could also lead to, because of recent budget cuts, the new lower cost process will help your organization avoid laying 6 people off in your department. That's like putting up the objective of the session and how it's going to benefit them. Now that your team members understands why they are learning this new information and what the risks are if they don't learn it, they will be more motivated and more receptive to your training program. Level number 3. It is stimulating recall of prior learning. It's all about how the new learning match the new information with related information or topics they have learned in the past. This is one of the important steps for the adults, is to always have this connection or a linkage of how this information is linked to my prior experience, where does it fit, and how does it become meaningful to learn this new information.